probably a terrible poker player, too. The silence stretched out for several long seconds, and she wondered how long he'd hold out. He blew out a breath and hung his head. Okay, we're dating. And no, her family doesn't know. You should tell them. I've been to their establishment a few times. They're good beings. And you did protect their daughter from getting harassed. If I were you, I'd use that to your advantage. Maybe. But what if I'm discharged? Were you off duty at the time? Yes. Did you know the male you struck was an officer? No, he wasn't in uniform and he's not from my unit. I knew they were probably IAF because... He gestured to his regulation haircut. We all look alike. That made her laugh. Not all of us, but I see your point. Do you see mine? He frowned and then nodded. You're saying that my intent wasn't to deliberately punch a senior officer. I was just being a good citizen. Is that what you mean? It is. And the MP who arrested you should have investigated their behavior too. You're not going to be discharged, Private. In fact, once I've spoken to Irani and gotten her statement, I'll try to get the charges dropped. Until then, you keep out of trouble and don't talk to anyone about this unless I'm present. Clear? Yes, ma'am. His words came out crisper now, the fear replaced with something more becoming to a soldier. And ready? A bit of personal advice. Once you're through this, you need to talk to Irani. Then go see her parents and tell them what's going on. I can't promise it will go the way you hope, but honesty is always the best policy. You always want to base your relationships on the truth. He dropped his head and the tips of his ears darkened slightly. It's not really a relationship yet. She laughed and rose from her chair. You stepped up and protected your girl from some jerks giving her a hard time, and you got arrested for it. You might not think it's a relationship, but Irani could have a very different opinion on that. You should ask her. Okay, I will. Thank you, ma'am. It took her another half an hour to arrange for her newest client to be released back to barracks and start rattling a few cages about the piss-poor quality of the report she'd been given. She threw in a few pointed remarks about a biased investigation and the comments made to Reddy. By the time she was done, Bobbi was hopeful that Reddy would soon be a free man. She checked the time. Interviewing Irani and any other witnesses she could find would have to wait until tomorrow. It was late evening now, and while that was an arbitrary distinction on a space station that ran 24 hours a day, her day was nearly done. It was time to go home, eat, and crawl into bed for a few hours. And a few hours was all she'd get. When Colonel Archer had asked her to take on a secret assignment, trying to ferret out the mole in the IAF ranks, she'd been prepared for challenges. What she hadn't considered was that working 2 jobs meant eating and sleeping became luxuries that didn't fit well into her new schedule. When this was done, she was booking a week-long stay on the Plaza 4 and doing nothing for the first 3 days but lying in bed and eating ice cream. Kurt didn't want to be in the gym this late. Hell, he'd rather not be there at all. But it was a necessity. If he didn't work off his excess energy safely, he ran the risk of letting his temper get the better of him. He'd worked too long and far too hard to let that happen. So the more stress he was under, the harder he worked out. Usually that wasn't a problem. Lately, though, he'd spent more of his downtime in the gym than anywhere else, including his bed. The problem wasn't that their new assignment was on a tight deadline with high stakes. He was used to that. It was why he'd signed on with Nova Force in the first place. He counted out another set of push-ups and then rested while the computer automatically turned up the gravity for his next set. No, the pressure wasn't what kept getting to him, but the fact they were investigating people he knew. Every one of the suspected moles were IAF personnel. Some of them had been to his commander's wedding, for frack's sakes. The whole team was on edge, all of them bracing for the moment they learned which of their friends and fellow soldiers had betrayed them to the Gray Men.